Hello everyone and welcome back to another session of Dark Souls 3 PvP and another weapon showcase. This time I am using the Mace, which in my opinion is one of the more underrated weapons in this game. Now, the Mace requires 12 strength, 7 dexterity in order to wield. It has a C-scaling in strength and a D-scaling in dexterity. It has a physical base damage of 230. And its skill is Perseverance, which will give you some hyper armor, and it will reduce the damage you take when it's active, which is one of the more overlooked things with Perseverance. It also will cause certain weapons that are lighter to deflect off of you, like what happened in that last fight. Now, with this weapon, the pros of it, I would have to say that the moveset is definitely going to be a big pro to this weapon. Now, the reason for that is because it's a very, varied moveset. It's got a good amount of variety to it. So when you're one-handing, your R1s are just regular horizontal sweeps. When you're doing your R2s, they do an overhead smash that's a fair bit slower. When you two-hand, you're more angled with your attacks, which is very good for if you're playing unlocked or you're trying to catch someone at an angle. And their tracking ability is not the greatest, but it's decent. The biggest pro, though, hands down the best thing about the weapon, is the Perseverance skill. We all know how good of a skill this is. We all know that when it's used properly, it can be extremely dangerous, and it's not any exception with this weapon. It's going to be a huge thing to factor in when you're using the weapon or fighting against it, especially with how many people fighting in this game rely on combos, and if you throw that skill in at the right time, you can throw off their combo entirely. It really works incredibly well. I don't know how many fights I won when using this weapon by simply using the skill, doing 2 R1s, and then a jumping attack. It's kind of ridiculous. I could probably make a montage out of all the fights that I had and won just doing that. It's really kind of silly, actually, I'm not gonna lie. Other than that, though, the only other pro that I would have to say is really worth mentioning would be the fact that with those different moves, it does have a variety of timings as well, so that will throw off an opponent's timing if they're trying to parry, and some of the attacks do have good tracking like the two-handed R2. Now, as far as the cons of the weapon... Oh, and sorry, one more pro, I almost forgot. This thing will eat through a shield like there's no tomorrow. It will drain your opponent's stamina if they're blocking. It works very well, because it's a hammer class weapon and that's a standard thing with hammer class weapons. So, the cons. Basically, the only real cons of this weapon are that it is short, it's not going to be the longest weapon in the game, it's slow for some of its attacks, for most of its attacks in all honesty, but with that, it can actually be used to bait someone in, and then you can get a relatively easy parry on them. I did that a few times in this video, as you guys have seen, so that's one method to sort of help with that situation. And then other than that, the last con of the weapon is that the best source of damage with this thing is unfortunately to trade hits. And yes, your damage is reduced when you have Perseverance activated. I'm not saying that that's, not a great thing to have. However, it still does require you to take damage, and ideally, you shouldn't take damage. In a perfect world, in a perfect fight, you will flawless the person. And that's possible with the Mace. However, the best, most reliable source of damage comes from trading hits. And that's not an ideal situation, of course. But other than that, that's about all I've got for this thing. So this is going to be the last fight in the video, guys. I hope you all have enjoyed this one, found it helpful in one way or another, and as far as what to expect next, I will be uploading more regularly, more consistently. I am working on getting an assortment of videos ready because I'm actually being shipped out to California for an event held by Bandai Namco. Expect some content for that as well, guys. But anyway, thank you all for watching, hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.